Yes, sir! The iconic beanie is back in action. Yo, shout out to my boy Evan Locker for this video, bro. I told you I was gonna come back with another banger for you, just for you, bro, just for you, you know what I'm saying? Nah, for the fans and everybody too, man. Shout out to Spotty Squad. My boy Evan dropped some sequel info, some DLC details, you know what I'm saying? Some more info about the game in general. And let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Let's get into it, man. Oh shit, excuse me.
Welcome back, true believers and spectacular Spidey fans, to another really exciting episode of Spider-Man PS4 101. So with the first piece of the City That Never Sleeps DLC pack being less than 2 weeks away, we are all very excited to see how the story is going to continue within this game's universe, where it's going to feature Black Cat in a very prominent role. And not only have Brian Intar and John Paquette updated the fans about how detailed this DLC is going to be, but they've also provided us more details about the upcoming potential sequel to Marvel's Spider-Man. Okay. So basically, the good folks over at Game Informer, who provided us the entirety of April filled with awesome coverage of Spider-Man PS4, have now gathered an awesome exclusive interview with Brian Intar and John Paquette, discussing about the spoilers about Spider-Man PS4, as well as the in-depth details about how Insomniac developed the game overall. And basically, during this video, Brian and John were being interviewed by Ben Hansen from Game Informer, talking about all types of things relating to the game, from story aspects, gameplay moments, and more. And throughout this interview, Brian and John were discussing a lot of interesting details relating to the development of this main game, as well as discussing some possibilities that could lead into the future sequel. And to start off with, the first highlight of this entire interview is where Ben Hansen himself flat out says the possibility of a Marvel gaming universe coming after the success of Spider-Man PS4. And like we know already, there is indeed an Avengers game being made by Crystal Dynamics, Square Enix, and Eidos Montreal, but we do not know for sure whether or not that game is indeed going to connect within the same universe that Spider-Man PS4 has established. And just like Brian has said in previous spoiler casts, is that it was Insomniac and Marvel's goal to pretty much have Spider-Man PS4 be the Iron Man of the Marvel game universe. Basically, what Brian means by this is that through the success of the very first Iron Man movie in 2008 has spawned a plethora of multiple Marvel movies, inevitably creating the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which has made lots of financial success and critical acclaim. And seeing how successful Spider-Man PS4 has been received from critics and fans with super high review scores and a great amount of sales, I think it is inevitable that we are indeed going to get a sequel to this game, as well as the expansion of the entirety of the Marvel franchise within the world of gaming.
Is this 1000% self-contained? Because obviously in the game there's the joke about like, oh, I think the Avengers are on the West Coast.
I'm sure you want to ask about the Marvel gaming universe. That's what everybody's asking.
Of course, yeah.
We got to get that Iron Man. And what I mean by Iron Man, I don't mean like the start of a universe. It's like, it's the start of
the gaming universe.
The Marvel experience that you expect from a console game. It wasn't about the start of a Marvel gaming universe. It was about the quality bar that we all expected from those games. That's whether that's the future or not. I don't know. That's a question for Bill and Mike and Jay. But for us, it was just about giving fans the best Spider-Man experience they could ever imagine.
And even though Brian pretty much says that Bill Roseman would know more about the future of the Marvel Games franchise, it does show that with the success of Spider-Man PS4 will inevitably spawn a lot more Marvel-related games, just like the Avengers project is doing, and we can definitely expect a lot more awesome Marvel games down the line. As for knowing whether or not Spider-Man PS4 will indeed connect to these other Marvel games is still unclear, but I do think that there is a very high chance that it might, given its huge success. But still, as for that front goes, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, moving on to the second highlight of this entire interview is actually something really interesting that's brought up by Brian Intar relating to Dr. Octopus. So as we all know, Peter's main mentor throughout the entirety of Spider-Man PS4 was indeed Dr. Octopus, and the game ended with you defeating him on top of Oscorp Tower and sending him into the raft. And if you were able to read number 0 of Spider-Geddon, you did see Insomniac Spider-Man interact with Superior Spider-Man and have them actually discuss about the fate of Dr. Octopus within the game's universe. And even though we'll have to wait and see where the comic storyline goes on that front, Brian did imply that we may have not seen the last of him in this universe.
There's a line, the last line Otto says to Peter is, "Don't worry, your secret fate will be." Is that the chip's gone, so, but he says it in a really evil way. So is it him? Was it? Is it did the chip have a permanent effect? time will tell.
Time will indeed tell.
And given what Brian said there, if we are indeed going to see more of Otto Octavius within this game's universe, either in some upcoming DLC or even in the inevitable sequel, I would absolutely be totally down for that. Doc Ock was easily my favorite villain within Spider-Man PS4, and if we ever get to see more of him within this game's universe, I'm going to be extremely excited to see how it's going to turn out between him and Peter interacting again. But to quote Brian Intar himself, only time will tell. So moving on to the third highlight of this interview is actually having Brian and John discuss about their thoughts of seeing the Venom movie and how they are most likely going to incorporate him within the inevitable sequel. So like we heard Brian say in another spoiler cast, is the reason why the black suit was not within Spider-Man PS4 is because that they think that that suit deserves its own unique story, and it would be shown in the way on how Insomniac would want to tell it. And just like we see at the very last post-credit scene of the game is that a very sick Harry Osborn is indeed enveloped in a symbiote-like substance that is most likely keeping him alive. But what's very interesting during the interview is that Brian and John did say that they have both seen Venom in theaters and that they were looking at almost everything from the movie in terms of character portrayal, spectacle in action, and lots more. And even though it's not officially confirmed yet that we're going to get a sequel to Spider-Man PS4, you can definitely tell by Brian's tone that Venom will most likely be a huge part of the game's sequel, if not the main villain of the entire game. Especially if Insomniac is mixing things up with making Harry Osborn Venom instead of Eddie Brock, and seeing how much of an emotional connection Peter and Harry have with each other, that's going to make for some really good storytelling within the inevitable sequel.
Have you guys seen Venom yet?
Yes. Yes.
Do you guys have a list of notes? Did it change your trajectory at all because you guys want to differentiate yourself moving into the future from what the movie is?
No, not at all. I think any kind of Spider-Man thing that comes out, we try to read it or watch it or whatever, just because it's good for us to know if we're working on something that is Marvel. It's good to know what everybody else is doing and how they're interpreting.
It's always interesting to see what talented writers, directors, studios do with these characters that a lot of us have grown up with. That's just kind of another kind of data point that we can look at and go, okay, how are they handling certain things across tone or spectacle or character development, etc.
But in general, you guys pretty excited to kind of put your own spin on Venom?
That's going to be interesting.
That if the wind goes that way, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. Right now we're focused on DLC. You like that answer? No,
I don't like that at all. I mean, do you like the classic Venom as is? Are you attracted to that storyline, I guess is the question.
As I said on Kind of Funny, I think that suit and that character deserves his own story, and if we get to tell it, cool.
And for me personally, even though I did like the goofy and sometimes serious vibe that the Venom movie had, I do hope that they really showcase a mature and emotional sense of character for this version of Venom within the sequel to Spider-Man PS4. But still, we'll just have to wait and see as to how Insomniac ends up handling his character. Now, the second to last highlight of this interview is of course going back to DLC as well as New Game Plus. Now, straight out the gate, Brian and John flat out said that the New Game Plus feature of Spider-Man PS4 will indeed release really soon, and that the DLC itself of the heist featuring Black Cat is going to be extremely high quality, and it's indeed going to be longer than exactly 4 missions in terms of story content, along with it being filled with lots more side activities, collectibles, and lots more.
I can tell you that I didn't get to work on as much of it because I was out doing PR tours and stuff like that, but I came back and played it. I left it when it was very, very early and came when it was close to being done, and I was really, 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 really pleased with how it turned out. I think it's a very self-contained story that really does a great job with Black Cat. Black Cat's performance is great. We do some twists and turns I don't think people are going to expect with the character. There's a lot of great humor in there. Some really fun missions that build upon what we did, and even some missions that I think I was like, oh, I wish we had thought of this for the. And then there's some really fun activities. And of course, there's new suits. So I think that, and there's things we added for photo mode as well. So, and there's some really funny things with photo mode. So I think that I'm really pleased. Like, as someone who's bought DLC before, I can tell you I'm pretty happy with how much content we were able to deliver and at the quality we were. Whether it's enough for somebody. Yeah, that's a really hard question to answer.
Are we talking like under 4 missions? Is there any kind of framing you can give for what people should expect?
It's more than 4 missions.
More than 4 missions.
For the heist.
Way more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any sort of time length you can give?
I think, like I said, depends on the kind of player you are and how fast you can go through, and whether you do all the different activities that we have in the world.
Yeah, there's new side content that we're also putting in there, and
so you know, James will probably shoot me if I give too many details, but I would say it's a very high quality story, you know, kind of a main story, and then there's alternate activities that you can do in the world.
That's cool. What we need. And it's all coming out before the end of the year. Is that right?
Yeah, all three are coming out. So the first one is the heist, and then we have 2 more, and they will all introduce new things.
Awesome. And New Game Plus, do you guys have a timeline for that?
Soon, really, really soon.
And even though we knew a lot of this info already, it is really nice to hear Brian's impressions when he got to play the DLC for himself. And once again, with the DLC being less than 2 weeks away, I'm very excited to see how Insomniac's version of Black Cat will interact with their version of Spider-Man in terms of the story. And given what we got already during the stakeout missions of the main game, I think we're in for a real treat when we actually are going to interact with Felicia Hardy herself during the main DLC. And as for the final highlight of this entire interview is actually a really important one because of how it relates to a possible co-op feature being implemented within the inevitable sequel. So as we see at the end of Spider-Man PS4 with the first post-credit scene is that Miles Morales, after getting bit by the spider, is indeed experiencing some spider-like powers, and Peter actually reveals himself to Miles as Spider-Man himself, and most likely is teasing at an awesome team-up duo within the inevitable sequel. And if we manage to play as a powerless Miles Morales and Mary Jane Watson within Spider-Man PS4, I do think if there is going to be a sequel, we will most likely play as Spider-Man both as Peter and Miles Morales. However, one of the main features that a lot of people are hoping that will be in the game given this story point is that people will be able to play co-op with their buddies both playing as Spider-Man at the same time, both as Peter and Miles. And seeing how Insomniac added a co-op feature within their last open world game of Sunset Overdrive, I do think it would be a really cool idea to have that feature be in the sequel to Spider-Man PS4 where the players can play as both Miles and Peter as Spider-Man and swing around the city and fight crime both at the same time.
One last question. Scale of 1 to 10, how difficult is it to make a co-op game?
Why do you ask that question?
I mean, because everybody is screaming, okay, Miles and Peter, obviously, here we go, co-op game for the sequel.
Yeah.
Now, for me personally, I do think we will be able to play as Peter Parker and Miles Morales both as Spider-Man with their own unique spider powers, but as for the co-op feature, that is still up in the air in terms of how Insomniac is going to handle it. And for me, I would be fine either way if we were able to play as Miles and Peter either in a single-player game, or if they do make it co-op, make it even more fun for players to interact with their friends online and just swing throughout the city and have a huge, awesome time. And with all that out of the way, everyone, that's the video that I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you saw the whole interview yourself, which part that Brian and John discussed made you more excited for the possibility of a sequel to Spider-Man PS4? For me, even though it does sound interesting to add a co-op feature within an open-world Spider-Man game, nothing excites me more than knowing that Harry Osborn and Peter Parker will most likely go up against each other as Venom and Spider-Man. And if Spider-Man PS4 managed to handle Doc Ock's character in a phenomenal way, I can't wait to see how Insomniac and Marvel are going to handle this version of Venom. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans. Peace out.
Hey. I saw this clip, bro. This shit was funny as hell.
Hey, can you turn your music down, please? Because I'm having a really hard time.
Hell no. Hell yes.
Evan, you a fool for that one, bro. For real. See, the MGU is gonna be sick, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, even my boy Brian is talking about it. You know what I'm saying? He's just saying, like, how Spider-Man PS4 is the stepping stone for, like, the whole thing to happen, basically. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's just the starting point. It's the starting point. It's the Iron Man. Just like for the MCU, it's the Iron Man of the MGU. You know? So that makes 100% sense, bro. They should add a co-op feature where you could, like, switch to Miles and Peter. You know what I'm saying? They shouldn't just make the game just straight co-op, like when you have to play with somebody. Nah, hell no. We don't need that. No. It should be single player with a co-op option. That would be sick. That would be sick. That would be sick. I actually like that. I would definitely actually like that. Venom. You know, they trying to ease their way around of, like, not saying that Venom is not going to be a main character in the sequel, which I think he will be. You know, it makes sense. It's going to be more personal because it's Harry. So, I don't see why they wouldn't do that. You know, I just don't see why they wouldn't do that. It would be perfect. It would be the fucking perfect story, bro. Even though Spider-Man got so many stories, but why not? Why not go for the kill? I'm pretty sure everything is going to be all right, man. DLCs is going to be crazy. He said there's more than 4 missions in the DLC, way more than 4 missions in the DLC, and on top of that, we're gonna have a lot of side stuff that we could do, of course, you know. So that's gonna be brilliant, and it's like that in each piece of DLC too. So that shit gonna be dope as hell, bro. I can't wait for all of this to happen. I'm excited as hell. I'm pretty sure y'all are too. And yeah, man, we waiting. October 23rd, 3 days before Red Dead. We waiting for it. You feel me? If you enjoyed this video, definitely give it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And please turn on notifications to get notified when I upload and stream, man. Definitely do that. And everybody go subscribe to my boy Evan Falarka as well, bro. His link will be in my description. Video link will be in my description. Definitely. It's your boy Joseph Witty, man. I'm out of here. Everything is super detailed, man. They dropped a few clips of like Arthur reloading his gun and everything. That junk's sick. If you see how detailed it is, bro, the little things, bro. I swear to God. They finally showed niggas getting their limbs chopped off. Not chopped, but shot off. You know what I'm saying? Heads coming off. How you shoot a whole head?